my beloved, and welcome back to the Dark Kingdom. I wanted to talk about gaming today, and the reason I wanted to talk about that is, well, obviously we see the state that it's in concerning PlayStation. If you follow me on Twitter, I've been poking fun at them for the past few days now, and I appreciate the how the community is treating this situation as well. To give you a bit of a background as to what's happening, PlayStation announced that they will no longer be developing physical copies as of 2028, and so on. After that, they will no longer make any more physical copies for games. This is obviously not a good thing. I'll spare you the long explanation and just give you a short rundown. Ownership is so important. It's one of the primary things that makes buying something yours. It has inherent value when it's a physical item in your hand, and I believe this is one of the reasons Larian Studios is actually creating a full physical copy of Baldur's Gate 3. They're developing this themselves, and you can purchase this via their website. Now, it's not entirely finished yet. I believe as of recording this video, it's still in development, but once the game is completely 100% polished, they're going to print it on a disc to where you can play the game in its entirety and download it from that disc onto your console. No online connection required, and the reason they're doing this is the same reason I would like to sell you a print once I start selling those prints of my artwork. I want you to hold something in your hand, something I created, so where you can put it on your wall, or you could show your friends, something that is in the world, physical, that you can see and hold in your hands. This is so important when it comes to art. Possession. It's one of the reasons I love to buy figurines from different video games and films, is because I like to have that possession and that memory physically in the real world, so I can always remember that film or always remember that video game. I don't have to turn it on. I don't have to put the disc into my console and then see the image there. I can see the creatures, I can see the characters right there in the real world. But you see, corpos, they don't like things like this. They don't like the concept of you having something to yourself, which is why they always love to offer you the concept of convenience. And convenience is a great thing. When you see an apartment complex, it's a home that you don't have to pay a whole bunch of money for. It's something that just about anyone can access, but it's not yours. You didn't build the house yourself. You didn't pay an architect. You didn't do any of that, because all of that is too much work and too much money. But you can constantly pay me money, and I can just do all of that other stuff for you. You see, the concept of convenience has always been in our society for a very long time, and corpos like to take advantage of that, definitely for the worse and not for the better. They introduced this concept of convenience in our consoles long ago, many, many years ago. I remember when I was just in middle school and my brother was playing his Xbox 360, and there was the concept of convenience on there. There were games that he could purchase through there that were digital at the time, but those were very small, and that wasn't the grand scheme of things back then. It was still primarily physical copies at that time, but they eased it in back then. They're like, well, let's just keep sprinkling this in. And I was around during the time where they introduced the horse armor, the first microtransaction in the history of gaming, and that was the stepping stone for so many corpos. They were like, wait a second, we can just sell stupid things to people through digital means. And here we are today. People are buying things every day through mobile games, and whether it's not through mobile games, it's just through stores that are online. People don't like to go to the store. People prefer to sit at their home and order things from there. DoorDash. All of this is people indulging in convenience. And sadly, corpos take advantage of that convenience. They see that you might be enjoying it or you might be indulging yourself in that convenience, and you find yourself too comfortable. And then they see that you're comfortable. And they're not doing this because they want you to be comfortable per se, but they know that they can get you when you're this comfortable. They know that they can take advantage of people when they feel comfortable. Well, since you're enjoying buying games at home so much, how about we just take away physical copies altogether? You don't need to go to the game store. You don't need to go to GameStop and purchase something that's printed on the disc. That's the full game, by the way. And you can just play it at any time, and you don't need our help at all, and we're not very reliable. But hey, you don't have to go back to the store and buy that ever again. You can just sit right here in your chair at home where it's nice and cozy. You don't have to deal with an annoying cashier saying, "You want to subscribe to our GameStop subscription? You able to buy a toy? You get this. You want a piece of candy? You want man?" You don't have to deal with any of that. You just sit at home, turn on your console, get all cozy with your lover, and buy a game. You see, my dear, that is exactly how they like to take advantage of you. Once you're nice and cozy, comfortable, and they see that comfort in your eyes, that, my dear, is when they take advantage of you. And here we are, a great example of that constricting trap. Yes, constricting. Just like a snake. And sadly, we didn't even notice it to the very last second. But you see, there is an escape. Unlike most traps that predators lay for their prey, there is very little means to escape. But in this situation, corpos, they are slimy little slugs, less predators. Yes, they might find their way squeezing between cracks and crevices while we are trying our best to find where on earth they went. But at the end of the day, they're still a harmless little bug that does little besides slither. And like every other fat, slithering insect, there is a parasite that feeds on its innards. And boy, my beloved, do I have the plan that might help us. Although I do enjoy watching all of you bicker and complain on Twitter. Ooh, it truly does intoxicate me. Seeing your consistent and entertaining bickering like this one here. There are currently 16 community notes that are rated as helpful on this. And yes, there's more as of recording this video. And then there's this lovely individual here as a response.
If Sony was wrong, one would be enough. The community note team is desperate to push their agenda. Leave the multi-billion-dollar company alone.
Never have I seen such deep-throating. Although I enjoy seeing you slobber all over this slug like it's your boyfriend. However, I can only take so much disgusting nonsense for so long. With all that said, I'm sorry, as entertaining as all of you are, they don't listen to your words, and this goes for every single corpo on the planet. Now, my darling, I can't tell you every way to do this, as I only play a few live service games on the console. Not too many, but enough, definitely. I can tell you how to make purchases outside of PlayStation. That way, whenever you're playing a live service game, you don't need to buy anything through the PlayStation. Now, this does require a little bit more elbow grease, but it is one way to protest. If you want to buy something, just buy it through a different means, a different shop. And for example, I do know how to buy things outside of PlayStation if you are playing Fortnite. All you have to do is download the Epic Game Store on your phone, and it is there. You can download Fortnite from the Epic Game Store, log into your account, and you can make purchases from there. And the best thing about making purchases through the Epic Game Store is you can buy the specific amount of V-Bucks you want, and you also get cash back if you do purchase through them. So honestly, if you are playing Fortnite, this is the best way to make any purchases at all. So if your kid's playing it and you're buying things for them through the Epic Game Store or PlayStation rather, download the Epic Game Store and make the purchases through there. It's beneficial for you, and it's just cheaper all around. And lucky me as an active Warframe player. It's very similar over there. They have an official website that you can make purchases directly through there outside of PSN. Now, sadly, as of recording this video, I am also a Path of Exile player and quite active at that. And there is no way, at least from my understanding, to make purchases outside of PSN for Path of Exile. Only for now, anyway, but these are the alternative ways to purchase. This way, you're not buying anything digitally through the PlayStation. You're buying things directly from the developers and not from PlayStation. Now, there are some games, unfortunately, that don't have a physical copy, so this method won't work for every game, but there are a lot of games that have been released recently that do have physical copies. So make sure you buy the physical version of those games, opposed to purchasing them through digital means. As I mentioned earlier, I do enjoy seeing your bickering and picking at Sony all day on Twitter. That is entertaining. But they don't hear it. They don't care about it. You can ratio them every single afternoon, and I can just about guarantee you no one's really reading those comments. The higher-ups, they might hear a few people saying, "Oh, they don't like this decision you made." But my dear, they'll just backfire and say, "Well, the graph says otherwise, actually, so I don't care what a couple of people on Twitter say." I use the term corpo quite a bit because, at the end of the day, that's exactly what they are. Although Cyberpunk might be this extremely exaggerated game, that's one thing that is far from exaggerated. That is the character these people are. They care about themselves. They only listen to what the graph says. They only listen to what the dollar tells them. They don't care about anything else outside of that box they live in. And if something gets in that box that affects their space, then they'll listen to it. And I'm sorry, my beloved. Though I enjoy your consistent bickering on Twitter, that has little effect on these people. Granted, protest is always a very good thing, and I actually encourage you to do so. But speak with your wallet, not just your mouth, as your wallet will speak to these people far more than your lovely memes will, that's for certain. Now, I'm sure there are other fantastic ways to protest, but this is definitely one of them. If you want to tell PlayStation how we truly feel, and actually see change, speak your mind, of course, but also use action. Make sure you speak with your mouth as well as your wallet. Now, I'm going to use one very, very sad and depressing example of this, and then I'll end my video. There was a game called Doom Tower. Doom Tower was a mobile game, a very good one that was released many years ago. It was about 8, maybe 10 years ago, around there. The game was primarily focused around its gameplay. It didn't have much of a story, but what was there was interesting enough to keep you playing. But the gameplay was phenomenal. It was similar to Fruit Ninja. Now, Fruit Ninja is a title I know you haven't heard of in a while, but it's still there, it's still kicking. Doom Tower, however, was inspired by that type of gameplay. However, it was a dark fantasy. You were a wizard guarding a gate that led to, I believe, like a city or civilization itself, and you were tasked to defend humanity against these hordes, and I mean just armies of demons that were constantly rushing the gate trying to get past you. You used a variety of different spells and abilities to fight these hordes of demons trying to get past you and into the human world, and luckily, thanks to, and I can't believe I'm saying this, thanks to Grok, I was actually able to find some screenshots from the original game without having to dig through APK sites, which I don't entirely trust. This was a game I spent quite a lot of time on. They had a demo that I played endlessly. And then, of course, they had the official game that I can't remember how much it cost exactly, but I think it was just like $5 to $10. It wasn't much at the time, but it was a full game that was very fun. And it is a horrible shame that this game itself is one of many, actually. Some games I don't even know about, and some of you might have stories of the past for games that you enjoyed that just faded to time. And I fear, my beloved, this is going to be the fate of many games in the future if we continue to let Sony go down this path of digital only. Yes, mobile games are released by the bunches all the time, but it's starting to look a lot like that for Sony and PlayStation as well. There's tons of games, just random games being added to the PlayStation library because I truly do believe Sony is trying to be another Steam or Google Play. And with that in mind, I think you can only imagine what's going to happen next. I don't want another Doom Tower situation. I don't think anyone wants that to happen. And I'm sure a lot of you are probably thinking, well, that's a pretty awful thing, that you lost a game and you could just never play it again. There's plenty of other games like that too. A lot of them are just no longer accessible. Doom Tower is just one of them amongst, I'm sure, thousands. And I hate for that number to go up any higher than what it already is. Let's try our best to fight back at this decision to make things digital only, because I don't want games to fade away to time. I remember when I was a kid, there were so many crazy PS2 games that I just found laying around in the bargain bin at a GameStop for like $10. I used to play those games all the time. There was Nano Breaker, this King Arthur game. I actually forgot the name of it, but that was pretty good. And there were so many games that no one's ever really heard about, but despite them being obscure, you can still pick them up and play them today. You just need the disc and the console and a controller. That's it. And in the future, not even that will be enough for you to play the game if it's just vanished to the void. So let's try our best to fight back and maintain physical media, because I don't want another Doom Tower situation for any game out there. But if you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like, comment, and subscribe, so you too can be a part of the Dark Kingdom. Take it easy for me, alright? And please do have a blessed day. Bye.